Hey, party people. It's Brandi and Cesley, and we're back with Blooming Through Faith, the podcast that helps you grow and bloom in your mindset, lifestyle, health, and wealth. We want you to know that you are capable, beautiful, and worthy. We are so excited to be back, Grow Girls. We actually took the summer off. The two of us had a lot going on this summer, and we just thought, you know what? Let's just give ourselves some grace, right? And that is what we talk about on this podcast is being in the season that we're in. It is not about perfection. It is about progress over perfection, right? And we know that our listeners completely understand that. And we are ready to dial back in, and we are so stinking excited to be here with you guys. So, today we're going to talk about something that we think holds so many people back. Like, it's holding you back from becoming who you are meant to be. All right. And that thing is caring way too much what other people think. You gotta be unbothered, baby. You gotta stop caring what other people think, say, and do. You've got to worry about controlling the things that you can control, which is your attitude, your effort, how you show up, right? Because guess what? Not everybody's going to love you, and hurt people, and insecure people talk about other people. That's just, it is what it is. So be better than that. Understand your goals and who you are. And we're going to go over that, right? So stop worrying about people's opinions. Stop worrying about people's judgment. Stop worrying about people misunderstanding you. Not everybody is going to understand you. So who cares? Stop worrying about that. Stop worrying about who's watching you. All right. The truth is, if you spend your whole life trying to make everybody comfortable, guess what? You'll never fully become yourself.
Yes. I love that. And I love what you said a minute ago. You said hurt people hurt people. And I think we get so hung up for some reason. And I don't really know where this comes from, but like we get so fixated on what other people think of us. And it comes from like we could dive into like the trauma rabbit hole and really like find out where it comes from. But it comes from like all the way back to when we were kids. Like we start going to school, we start having friends, we start really caring about what other people think. And at the end of the day, we care a lot about other people's opinions who we wouldn't want to trade places with either. And I think that is like the most wild thing, right? Like we're like, oh, I care so much about what Susie Joe over here thinks about me when Susie Joe's over here hurting and really just kind of throwing daggers. And you're like, do I actually want Susie Joe's life? Probably not. So if there's a Susie Joe out there listening, I'm so sorry, but that was my example. But I think that you have to really come to the realization that no matter what, someone is going to have an opinion about what you do, right? Like even people that love you, even like I remember I was the other day I was on the phone with my sister and she had a completely opposite opinion, and then I called my mom and my mom had a totally different opinion, and I'm like, I don't even know why I asked either of them, because neither one of them gave me advice that I like something that I would do. I wouldn't
just call me next time.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know why I did that. Like, and I usually don't ask people for their advice, or like I usually just pray about something, but I was in the middle of the conversation and it just kind of flowed, but I was like, that was all terrible advice. I'm not taking any of that advice. But like, if you play small, people will judge you. If you grow, people will judge you. If you change, people will judge you. If you stay the same, people will judge you. Like and you know, one of the greatest things someone ever told me, I can't remember where I heard this, but I do believe it was someone who was kind of discipling me at the time. And they said, you cannot please people and please God at the same time. Because if God has called you to something, then something in someone else is going to be bothered by the spirit that God has placed within you. So if the Holy Spirit is living within you and you are moving in this meaningful way and building a meaningful life, something in someone else will be triggered by it. They just will. And you cannot allow yourself to, like, you almost have to have blinders on for that. You cannot build a meaningful life when you're addicted to other people's approval. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, you could be posting something online, you could be sharing something new. For me, a lot of times it's like sharing something that's faith-based really publicly. Like I tiptoed around doing that for a long time because I was a personal trainer and nutritionist for a long time. So everything I did was very forward facing on like health, nutrition, And I'm still very passionate about that. But when I really started to dive into ministry full time, it was almost like I was hesitant to share that side of me because a very vulnerable side of me. Like it was the thing that I cared the most about. And so anything that you care about that makes you feel vulnerable can be really hard to share, but you have to just get over the fact that people are not always going to understand. They're just not. Like Jesus himself was completely misunderstood by people constantly. He didn't stop his ministry and go, they're not going to get it. Like he was like, you know what? They're not going to get it. That's okay. So I don't know why we expect or even desire for everyone to understand us. It's just not going to happen. Like ever.
Yeah, that's so good. It is like a trauma thing, right? Because the more I heal, the more unbothered I am. And what you just said about faith, right? Same. But I posted something about church on Sunday, and this gal mocked me. Who's a friend? It's like she's a friend on Facebook. I said, I don't know who needed to hear this, but I did. And she's like, oh yeah, LOL, needed to hear this. And I was like, oh, you know what I did? I prayed for her. At first I was like, oh, like I took a second and I was like, it's okay, because that wasn't for her. That wasn't for her. And it was hopefully for somebody else, right? And that's okay. And I stopped and I immediately prayed for her. And then I've got, we've talked about negative comments on posts and stuff. Before I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'd get so worked up, da 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 da. Now I'm like, who cares? Who cares? That's how they perceive things. That's their whatever. And that's totally fine. Let's move on and be there for the people who need us to be there for them, right? Let's go ahead.
Well, you just reminded me of something that when we said it's trauma based, right? And what you just said about negative comments, I remember something I went through in therapy like years ago when I was just getting out of my abusive relationship, and I was literally like, I can't say it. Like I couldn't ever say how I felt ever. And the therapist said, I want you to tell me every rejection that you're afraid of getting. I want you to say it out loud right now. We're just going to walk through it. And so I wrote them all down, and she started saying them to me out loud. Like in a safe space, she had me get rejected over and over and over again, because after that I was just like, oh, that's not that bad. Like, I don't care. But that's what that reminded me of. Like now when we get negative comments online, we're like, okay, why are you so mad?
Okay. And it's a lot of guys too sometimes. And I'm like, what are you doing? Okay. On the computer.
Get off the phone.
Judging women, I literally can't. I love what you said though, because the more, and even like if you think about if you have a sales job, the more no's lead to more yeses, right? You get more comfortable with that. The more failure leads to more success, right? A lot of people will give up instead of continuing to move forward. So Cade, this is a beautiful thing. This is not, sorry, squirrel, we haven't talked to you in a while, so whatever, here we are. But Cade was playing a game, and he kept failing, and he kept failing, and he kept failing, and he kept failing, and he kept failing. And he just tried probably 80 times before he made it. I love that mentality for a child. Troy and I, we went and played tennis. Failing. Baby boy plays baseball, okay? Football. Tennis, he wants to play. It's my sport. He's not good at it. But I will sit out there with him for an hour because he keeps trying. He's not worried about what I'm thinking. And of course, I'm never going to put my child down. I'm always going to encourage him. But like, that's like as adults, right? So understand that you're going to fail sometimes. Get back up. Understand that people are going to talk about you, and don't worry about it, right? Worry about your mission and your purpose. So let's go to the next part that we want to talk about, which is stop shrinking yourself. Stop shrinking yourself. Stop being the person who doesn't say anything in the boardroom or on the Zoom. Stop not wearing the clothes that you feel most comfortable in because you think maybe it's not the best for this or for that. Or Linda, I was going to say Linda Joe. Everybody's middle name is Joe. If your middle name is Joe, we love you. It's fine. It's going to think of you. Wear what you feel most confident in. Show up how you want to show up. If you have something to say it. Do not. And I did that for the longest time, because when I was younger, Cess, I was super loud, super outgoing. This is me. And then I put myself in a box for a very long time, because I'm like, oh, well, no, if I want to be a professional and entrepreneur, I have to hide my tattoos. I have to hide some of the things that I've been through or what I said. And I'm like, no, I don't. And I'm going to show up. There would be sometimes where I didn't speak my mind because I was afraid that it would upset somebody else, right? And we're not doing that anymore. So stop dimming your light to make others feel comfortable. There was a quote too. Oh my gosh, this quote was so good. I'm gonna have to find it and put it on our our Instagram, but it was something like, I've never seen anybody shine by sitting on somebody else's sun, or something kind of like that, right? So stop dimming your light to make others feel comfortable. Others have their own light. They can live their life, right? Stop apologizing for your goals, and stop trying to share your goals and your dreams with people who don't believe in you and don't want to hear it, because most people are so uncomfortable, they're so unhappy with their life, but they're not going to make the changes to change their life. So when they see somebody like you out there doing it, going after your goals, going after your dreams, they're going to bring you down. They're not going to understand it. And God put your mission, purpose, and dreams on your heart. Other people don't have to understand it, right? So stop acting smaller than you are. Your purpose requires boldness, all right? And being confident is not arrogant. There's a difference between conceited and confidence. Remember when we were kids, like, oh, that person's conceited? Do you know how many times I heard that when I was in high school? And guess what? I was so insecure. I was the biggest insecure girl in the entire universe in my middle school, but I was just loud. I was just being who I was. All right. So this is what I'm going to end on, and I'm going to pass it back over to Cesley because I feel like I really missed you guys and I just keep talking. But some of you guys are asking permission. You're asking permission for a life God already told you to walk into. He already put that mission on your heart. He's already showing you the way, but you're too scared about what other people think or say, or if other people are going to judge you, all right? So stop asking for permission when you know where you should be going. Be bold, right? God didn't call you to blend in. How boring would it be if everybody had the same mission, goals? We were all created the same. We had the same eye color. We had the same. That would be so boring. Like, listen, I love art, but I'm not an artist. Okay, there's artists out there, like their mission, their vision, that kind of stuff, right? So he called you to be obedient. And today, what we want you to do is we want you to be obedient. We want you to be strong and courageous.
That's what my son says. That's my new thing. That's what I say all the time now. I think we can end it right there. I think that's the whole episode. Brandi said that was it. Like, I don't even know what to say after that. That was incredible. I love what you were saying earlier about how when you were little, you were so big and so bold and you had this big personality, but at some point we kind of fade away from that, right? And I think I wrote down while you were talking that, I wrote down that because somebody didn't like it. Like, at some point, I remember being a kid and somebody didn't like how I was acting and they said it out loud. And at that point I was just like,
Oh, I just got goosebumps. My hair is standing.
And so when you were saying that, that's what I was like looking for a pen to write that down, because I was like, I don't want to interrupt her, but I don't want to forget that. Like, I remember being a kid and I had the biggest personality, just like Brandi. Like, we obviously we have big personalities, but you're a kid, you're just yourself. Like, you're big, you're bold, you're exactly who God called you to be. And then all of a sudden somebody will make a comment about it, or somebody will decide that they don't like it. And I don't know why we all of a sudden have made that our problem. And I'll never forget being younger. Like, I still remember the girl who did it to me, who, when I was in probably elementary school, just living my life, being myself, she was like, "You're so loud." And I was like, oh, that's not a good thing, I guess. Like, or "You're so hyper," or "Why are you so hyper all the time?" And I was like, oh, that is, I guess, not a good thing. And what's funny is, even as an adult woman, that hasn't changed. I remember being like, when Brandi and I were with the same fitness company, we were around a lot of different personalities and a lot of different women. And I remember a woman on my team who was underneath me, who I was her leader. I remember hearing her talk about me, and she was like, "Cecly's just a lot. She's just a lot. She's really like hyper all the time, and it's just too much for me." And I was like, well, I don't remember asking your opinion about my personality, so I guess you should probably go somewhere else if I'm too much.
I like what you just said there, because I feel like there is, and again, we don't need to cater. Like Cesley just said, well then, hey, you don't have to socialize with me and X, Y, and Z. Like, you can go somewhere else, but you don't have to cater for other people. Like, you be yourself. And like, I think about that when you bring training. Like, when I train classes, I'm intense. I don't stop. I'm in your face. I am a different kind of trainer. Not everybody is that way. So when I would train, I might not have been everybody's cup of tea, right? And that is okay. They can go find another trainer that is their cup of tea, but I'm not going to change who I am and how I how I train, Cecily is not going to change who she is and how she shows up and how she leads because it's not for everybody.
And here's the thing, like there's billions of people in the world. Not even like that. Have you ever been in a room with thousands of people? That feels like a lot, right? Like think about being in a concert venue with thousands of people and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many people here. Not even like a drop in the bucket. There are billions of people in the world. So if you do not like the circle that you're hanging out with, or if they do not like you can move. Like you are not stuck around the same. I see this with people with their families all the time. And this is trauma based. Like we feel like we are stuck with these people that we've been around for a long time, or that we have quote unquote loyalty to, and you're really not. You are not stuck anywhere. You can get up and move. And so that leads us into kind of the next part of what we want to talk about is what it means to actually be unbothered. Because unbothered does not mean we're not telling people off and being jerks to everybody. Like we're not saying like, forget you, you don't like me. Being unbothered is about protecting your peace, staying focused, realizing this is a big one. You do not need to respond to everything. Everything somebody says to you, this took Brandi and I a long time to learn because, man, if a keyboard warrior came after us, we were like, okay, I am ready. Like, oh, that's the wrong thing to say. I mean, pages of responses.
Well, the problem is we're not afraid of confrontation. Cesley and I have never been afraid of confrontation. So for the longest time, we go right back.
Yeah. We just have learned as we get wiser, it's just not worth it because then they bring if you're unbothered and someone is very bothered and you enter that ring with them, you're still fighting. Even if you win, you're still going to get hit a couple times. Nobody leaves the ring unscathed. Like you still get knocked down and you're still putting yourself into a place that you don't have to defend yourself. I talk about this with women all the time. Anybody that I meet with in my ministry, usually at one point or another, the conversation comes back around to like feeling like someone has to defend themselves. And you don't have to. People can think the wrong thing about you.
Ooh,
I want to say that like for a minute. Like, what if somebody does think the wrong thing about you? What if they do think that you are rude? What if they do think that you are too much? What if they do think what if they think you don't like them because you don't come to everything they do? That's okay. Like, at what point did you need their validation? You do not need their validation. Being unbothered means not being more worried about what someone else thinks about you than your purpose. You have to stay rooted in your purpose. We really want to get to this place of, it doesn't mean that we don't care about people. We love people. We love others. But loving someone does not mean caring more about their opinions than what God has called on your life. So it really just means like doing it anyway, right? Like if someone has a judgment against what you're doing and you've prayed about it and it is what God has called you to, do it anyway. Do it scared, do it imperfect, like just do it.
I love that. That's so good. I had to write down, people can think the wrong thing about you. That's okay, right? Okay. Because there's been so many times, because you know who you are, you know your truth. And what Cesley said too is like going back and forth, people already have it in their mind. They said they think whatever, it's going to be very hard for you to change their opinion anyway. So don't try. Just be unbothered, just move on, right? All right, so we're going to land this plane soon. But we want to remind you, and this is really stinking important, that your life is your responsibility, all right? At the end of your life, you answer for you. And I know we talked about this before, and this is why I'm so extra, but at the end of my life personally, when I get to heaven, I don't want to see God and him say, oh, girl, like you did okay, dude. You did okay. You did about half the things that I had planned for you. You impacted about half the lives that you could have. You brought about half the lives to me that you could have. I don't want him to say that. I want him to say, my girl, you did it. You showed up. You lived your life of purpose, right? You didn't worry what other people thought, right? So you are in control of your life. at the end of your life, do you want to have any regrets? Because that is one of the top regrets of the dying, is that, hey, you lived a life for other people. You were too worried about pleasing other people that you didn't live a life for yourself. And because Cecily and I care about you, we just keep it real. We don't want you to be on your deathbed and live with any regrets, okay? Because regrets hurt more than judgment. I'm going to say that again. Regrets hurt more than judgment. All right. Most people that are criticizing aren't even building anything themselves. They're not going after their dreams. They're not trying to better themselves. Right. I know, and this, we can go back to health, but I know a lot of times when I have clients that are on their journey and they're losing weight, they have family members who mock them. Oh, you're not going to eat this. Oh, just eat the cake. Oh, you'll be okay. And that's the thing too, is, oh, you've changed. Yeah, I have changed. My mind has changed. My priorities have changed. The things I value have changed, and that's okay. So if there are going to be people who bring you down, don't worry about them, right? The people that are meant for you, they will find you. There are more people out there right now that you're going to meet, and lives that you're going to connect with, and people that are going to love you that you don't even know yet. All right. So somewhere along the way, we realized that we would rather be criticized for being authentic and being who we are than for being loved, pretending to be something that we're not. That's where Cesley and I are at in our lives, and we hope that you join us there.
What you just said, that whole section of what you were just saying really hit me in the heart, because that's like my biggest thing that I think about all the time is, like, when I get to the end of my life, I don't want to look back and say, like, I was too scared to do what God called me to do. Because think about that even too. Like, being unbothered even means, like, how dare I think that my insecurities are bigger than the God who created me, who knit me together, who knows every single piece and part of me and every plan that he has for me. Like, how could I possibly think that my insecurities are greater than what he wants to do? And you might even not even realize that a lot of times the enemy is kind of playing back this reel in your head of worrying about what other people think, because the next person that you're going to talk to is somebody that God has put right in front of you. Like, you have no idea what you could be delaying that the Lord has called you to. You might be the one that needs to talk to that person. You might be the one that needs to speak life into that person. But instead, you're worried about what they think about you. When in reality, God has said, well, I've called you to them to show them who I am. Like, it's about the light that the Lord has put inside of you. And so really being unbothered is living, like, with the Holy Spirit inside of you, and realizing that, like, we have been called to be a light. We have been called to be faithful servants. And we can't do that when we're more worried about our own insecurities, because he's called you for big, big things.
So I just want to add one thing of what you said, because it's so good. We're worried about our own insecurities. We're worried about that's kind of selfish, right? Oh, it's really selfish when we're like, hey, we're not going to show up to help others, or this light would initially help other people, because I'm worried what people are going to say about me. It's not about you, babe. It's not about you, babe. It's about the lives that you're going to impact because you decided to be unbothered and be bold.
Exactly. I love that. So you guys, if this episode encouraged you, we want you to send it to a friend who's on the top of your heart, who needs to stop doubting herself and go after what God has placed on your heart. We want you to know that you can stop waiting for permission. You can stop over explaining yourself. You can stop shrinking yourself. Your purpose is bigger than people's opinions. Our God is bigger than your own insecurities. We want you to know that you are beautiful, capable, and worthy, and we can't wait to watch you grow, girl.